Hello, welcome. I don't know, Foster's in control, so if anything happens what's quite strange, then we're going to blame Foster. But welcome one and all to the second edition of the British Bear Show. My name's Chris Watts, and this is my co-host Jason.
Hello.
Hello.
That's the intro.
That's the intro, and it could be the end of the show. But yeah, but basically, it's it's a show for the Chicago Bears. It's with a bit of a British accent, and the aim of the show in the long run is actually to get some people from Britain on as guests. So it gives them a chance to have speak to the American audience and hopefully can build up friendships and that sort of thing. So what we'll do is we'll crack on with the show and the Bears against the Cleveland Browns. Jason, how we were so positive last week. We were thinking maybe the tide has turned, and then now we're back to like normality. So please give me the impressions of the game. What you saw. Start if you want to start the offense or defense, whichever. But I'd love to get a bit of your feedback, mate. What you thought, how the Bears played.
Well, after the hype, getting on board the hype train last week, all that positivity, two wins on the spin in division games, we were ready to roll. People were talking about the playoffs, although to be fair, we knew it was a long shot, and it's still technically possible. But I think, back down to earth with a bump for sure. A decent start-ish, but I just feel that game was all over the shop. I think, do you know what I mean? It just feels like a mess. I don't know. Just nothing really. There was no flow to it, and I think the fact that we couldn't just get anything moving on offense. Yeah, Foster, freaking Bears in the chat. That just killed it off. We couldn't get anything going, and we know everyone threw out the stats about Cleveland Browns. They got the number one defense in the league, and this is why it's disappointing that we didn't run the ball more. Although they did a pretty good job of stopping it, but we managed 88 yards. But it was all through the air for them, wasn't it? But yeah, offense was just so disappointing. The defense held strong for 3 quarters. Hence the bit in the thumbnail about bend and then break. But like you said earlier, in the pre-show, they were out there all game, weren't they? They must have been gassed because they were just. Although I think the time of possession was fairly even. I don't know how that happened. I think it was. I can't remember. But or am I thinking of another game? Probably. Yeah, I looked at. But it was. I think you can't hold them out. You can't hold them out forever. And that was the disappointing thing, is the fact that we held them so well, and we knew they were going to air it out because Flacco's had 2 250-yard games in his starts. They're going to do that, aren't they? And our hope was that we could get pressure, which we did, to be fair, for quite some time. But eventually, he's going to make it. And I think Foster mentioned it before as well, that you just got to cover. And Njoku's their big threat. Obviously, Amari Cooper too. But for them to get those, after we held them so well in that first 3 quarters, they 4 massive chunk plays, didn't they, in the fourth quarter? There was passes of 31, 34, the 51-yard touchdown for Cooper, and a 57-yard pass to Goodwin. So that that blew it apart, didn't it? So I think we're going to talk, aren't we, about the sort of fourth quarter disaster, another one for the Bears.
Oh,
But yeah,
go
ahead.
Sorry, Jason. Yeah, I mean, regarding the defense, I don't really know what more they could have done for the offense. They turned the ball over 3 times and were able to score. You know what I mean? So, like, I know the offense are playing against the best defense, probably the best defensive line in the NFL and the most highly rated defense. But it's like you mentioned, we didn't run the ball at all. I think, you know what I mean? Like, when you look at, like, I think Roshan Johnson got about 30 yards.
Yeah,
Um,
36.
you know,
Yeah.
yeah, and then his main running back got -6 or something somehow, which is disastrous. That's like my running back sort of spectrum back in the day.
I
But
know.
like Deontay Ford and stuff, I was really surprised. So it would have sort of like we sort of played to their strengths to their defense really. And oh, sorry, for our defense is no, yeah, we'll go back to our defense. Our defense really we got a lot of pressure on him. We've got like you say, Sweat got 2.5 sacks. I thought the linebackers played incredible. I mean, the interception what Edmonds got, well, exactly why they brought him into the Bears in the first place was to show that centre of the field and make them sort of plays. And TJ Edmonds is just still a monster tackling machine. And I know that one of your favourites got an interception, Eddie Jackson.
I know, yeah. Good to see him again, isn't it? But yeah, it's a shame he couldn't take it in. Although he gave the offense a gift, and they still nearly threw it away, didn't they? Even though there were 2 penalties for 12 men on the field by the Browns, and we just eventually was it 8 plays it took us to get it in from the 1 yard line. But yeah, that's the thing we couldn't. I don't think we could any drive over 50 yards. It was yeah, pretty bad. But then we'll go quickly to the chat because Plank is obviously off to work, but he's wanted to pop in and say bear down. So thanks for that, Plank. Cliff Victoria's here. There's Nick Bryden. So for guys, thanks for joining us in the chat. If you are in the UK, then please just let us know where you are, how long you've been a Bears fan. Just say hello. But thanks everyone for joining us. Foster's always there. The bloody British boys. Yeah, thank you very much. And yeah, Cliff wants a Victoria. So Cliff Victoria, sorry, wants a chocolate shake from the McDonald's drive-thru where Shorty was saying hello from earlier. But yeah, thanks for being there in the chat, guys. And like I say, if we do get any more British fans on, then please let us know where you are in the UK. Say hello, and yeah, maybe how long you've been a Bears fan or whatever. But yeah, I think I wrote that down. We had 27 running plays, of which 8 were negative yardage, which for us was pretty bad, wasn't it? Because I thought that would have been a point of difference going into the game. Their pass defense was number 1. Their run defense was ranked 11th, and we're pretty good running the ball.
Yeah,
pretty good running the ball. So you know, we thought that could have made a difference, but it just didn't work. And with some of it was the play calling. I mean, we could go into that now if you want. I'll talk about that. Just the kind of the reasons for that failure.
Yeah, I mean, I'd quickly say about this might touch on what you're just going to say, Jason. I'm so like I mentioned this last week. I'm so fed up of Fields constantly being in shotgun. You know what I mean? It's sort of like it's just you're just not able to have that play action pass. And we've got to like DJ Moore's ideal like receiver to have to do that sort of play action pass. Because he's good like in the middle of the field and a little bit further. And it just sort of when it's a running play and you're giving it to running back, that linebacker's got at least like maybe a second more to actually see the guy like he would do if we were getting like a direct hand off from under the centre. And I just think it limits his play calling as well. But no, please go on what you were going to say, Jason. Sorry about that.
Just no, that's fine, mate. It's all right. Yeah, it's just the reasons for the the defeat. There's obviously I watch all the shows. Well, some I haven't got all day. I try and catch up with a lot of other content. And people, obviously there's a usual. This is one of those games where the people that the Fields haters have got one in their pocket for this one. But there was so many little things that just went wrong. Fields didn't have a great game. That wasn't one of his best ones for sure. There was obviously the missed blocks, wasn't there? There was, I think I saw Blasingame missed one. Mooney obviously on that end around where Fields nearly got the first down, but the guy got his ankles. He just couldn't hold that block again. And go back to PJ's point from the after show on BCP was that why have they got Mooney, like what is he, 5'11" and 180 pounds, trying to block the guy on the end, trying to seal an end. The penalties. Yeah, Tonyan, there we go. Exactly. The drop catches with the other one. Yeah, exactly. The drops, which again, to go back to that, Mooney, despite all that game, we almost, and we threw it away. We had, with the last second, we could have won the game with that touchdown. It was not an easy, it's not an easy catch, but for a guy, it's one that you would not have been surprised. It wouldn't have been a miracle catch, would it, if he'd have made it? It's not in the easy, it's not a gimme. But it's not an impossible one because it dropped right into his lap. I know he's falling backwards, and it's so Chicago Bears, isn't it? Then, as he was falling back, he then kicks it up in the air for the guy to pick it. It's like, oh, you couldn't have written it, man. Comedy Bears. But yeah, there was so many little things that all went wrong. And I'm hoping, I don't know if they do this and review the plays after in the week. I don't know if I know in some sports they'll change it, but that first interception, that wasn't an interception. It clearly hit the floor, which they showed, in the replay.
Yeah, definitely.
So that should not count against him. But yeah, to go back to your point about that field goal, I think all of us were going, well, why isn't he kicking that? You say that, or I think we mentioned it in the pre-show. But I'm not 100% against that, because I think it's the fact that they said they were into the wind. If they really thought that they couldn't have got it, and then we know Santos has got a good leg. Fair enough. That's a call you could say yes or no, but I mean, it could at least surely that is a higher percentage play than a Hail Mary. So, was there also time for them to throw a really fast out route and get to the edge and try and stop the clock? Because we had a timeout left still, did we? So just at least get a few yards. But then ultimately with that last play at the end of the first half, if we'd have got the personal foul, late hit on Fields, which we should have had, then we're 15 yards further up, and that's a gimme for Santos. We'd have had 3 points, and we go in 10-7. So that, again, that's another story, is about the fouls. Like the one on, like we said, you're going to get onto that.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, that's what I was just going to bring up as well, because obviously that if we'd got that sort of field goal, then we would have been 2 scores up going into the second half, and it was such a blatant, I'm sorry to swear, but it was such a blatant fucking late hit. I mean, you can even see Rajon Johnson jumping up and down going, what?
That's right, from that angle. He's like,
yeah. And you can tell as well that Fields was not expecting it. You could tell when he got hit, his body was so relaxed. I mean, back in the 80s, Jim McMahon got a similar thing by the Green Bay Packers, and it broke his shoulder. He was never ever the same quarterback again by George Martin. I think like about 86. Literally, he'd thrown the ball, he was stood there, and the guy just completely like wrestler slammed him down, broke his shoulder, and he would never healthy for long periods of time in his career, really. And that could happen at Fields as well. And I mean, it's not just sort of that. It's something what's noticeable throughout the season is that he just doesn't get the. Well, I think he hasn't got any calls, has he?
No, he hasn't had one. There's not been one personal foul called for a late hit on him for roughing the passer. Not one, all season.
Yeah. That's absolutely ridiculous. And we see it in every game as well. It's not just like maybe once every 2-3 games. It's every game, every half he's getting either a late hit, a blow. It's a lot of the time it seems to be when he's sliding, a lot of them go into like his head with the shoulder, with their shoulder pad, and when you go to that sort of pace and contact, anything around the head's dangerous. But yeah, I think the refereeing, around the NFL has just been dreadful this year. I mean, regardless of what you watch what your sources are for NFL, everybody's sort of saying the referees have been terrible this year. Like they've missed so many calls, made so many bad, especially like pass interference calls and stuff like that. Which it's just ridiculous that the biggest sporting league in the world, by profit, has part-time referees. It's just so weird. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you just think, you think all that money in that game, and they only played 17 regular season games. So every game's such a big deal. You know what I mean? It's not like like soccer over here where you play 40 plus games, and if you lose or you draw a couple in a row, it's not the end of the day because you got the numbers to get yourself back up the table again. But with the NFL, it's just 17 games, and that's all it is. And it's just sort of like. I mean, I suppose in the off season they could be like, watching film, but they could also be teaching up the next sort of generations of referees as well. And I just think the Bears as well. I don't know if we've got some sort of voodoo curse against us with the referees, but we never ever seem to get the calls, do we? Over the years, it seems to be.
No.
We never seem to get them sort of calls. So I think going back to I think that's been, and I think Justin Fields has actually spoken. I think he actually spoke to ref after, or I'm sure that I might have read this or heard something. They actually tried to speak to referees before the kickoff, just to say, what's the deal, and try and get a vibe about, what they might call or not. But it's something that's definitely got to be sorted out for all them sort of athletic quarterbacks. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of like, I know. You know, you class as a running back once you get out of the pocket or whatever. But at the end of the day, once the starting quarterback goes down, we've all seen the drop off it gives to the team's performance. Very rarely you can have a backup what's going to be on the same level as your starting quarterback. So they are so important to the game, and I'm just so surprised the NFL really hasn't got on the referees' backs about that because these are like the stars of the future as well. What's happening? What's happening? Like a lot of the younger quarterbacks are more athletic. So this is affecting younger players. But it's just it was just that was just a terrible call, man. And also as well, we had the muffed punt as well, didn't we? By number 15, Taylor. It would
Two
actually
of
been
them.
pretty solid this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and two, yeah, because he got the first
Recovered one of them.
So yeah.
I mean, the only good thing about that was again, thanks to the defense, is the first play, Stevenson gets his pick, doesn't he? So he saved him. He saved Taylor on that one, didn't he? He saved Trent with that.
Yeah.
But the defense. I'm not going to be too hard on the defense because they did enough for us to win that game. That was clearly the offense. As much as some of it was the fourth quarter again, isn't it? And I think that's why. That's why we were talking about the defense. Like they held him pretty well for the first three, and I think it's all over the media, isn't it? About the yardage they got. Like it was the passing was 200 in the quarters 1 to 3. Flacco got 162 yards. In the fourth quarter, he got 212. So, and then had a few more yards on for some runs, but that's ridiculous. And I'm not going to blame the D because they kept us in that whole game. They did enough. And again, the Bears are breaking records, but not ones that we want because this is again the first time a team that had 3 picks, of which one of them you've seen this, haven't you? A team that has 3 picks, of which one of them is a pick 6, more than 3 or more sacks. Has only ever gone 40-0. They've only ever won the game. So we're the first team, congratulations, Chicago, to have those stats on the defense and still lose. Yeah, record-breaking Bears. That's it. So, it was not on the D that game at all because we need to be able to move the ball. We definitely need to be able to move the ball better. I was disappointed with the running. I don't know why. I mean, it's great to see Valus got a couple of good runs in. But Roschon was working. No, they had a couple of good ones, but we couldn't. And I think also the other thing, the big point for this game sort of reinforced to me was our lack of depth. So the offensive line changed when Tevin Jenkins went out. So we all know he's probably our best offensive lineman. He's a baller. I love that kid, and he's that man. I keep saying that. I call them kids because they're all younger than me, because most people are. But I just, I know. He's a beast. I love watching him play. He's a proper Chicago Bear, and when he goes out, that line's different. So, I mean, he was replaced by Whitehair, and you saw the difference immediately. So that's our lack of backup. We need to go to the offensive line still to stay there. We haven't seen too much talk about a left tackle. Right, Swifty's done a good video about Braxton Jones's grades. So do you know what? Yeah, he didn't have a good game. Again, that's another one. He missed a couple of key blocks as well, especially on that run where he took off. He missed the guy on the inside, didn't he, on the edge? And that was the one guy that just took out the sweep. The guy on the sweep, wasn't it? I can't remember who it was. So there was one picture of him because he's up on the second level blocking, and the guy on the line has just nailed the guy running. So he didn't have his best game, but I don't think we desperately need one. Get someone in. We need cover because we've seen that already. If Wright or Jones go on the tackles, then we're going to lose a lot of our offensive line play. So it's not an urgent need, but I think we need a swing tackle. The interior line is obviously where we need most of the work because, like I said, once Tevin's out, then we're done. We couldn't run the ball the same. The pass protection wasn't the same. And we missed some blocks. And then also, of course, with the receivers, we talked about Mooney. A lot of people are saying, well, that sealed his Chicago career, that game. But because DJ Moore was clearly struggling. I mean, he wanted to play, but once we passed him, then we haven't really got much. So obviously, the talk is all about wide receiver. And I don't know how much we're going to hit the draft because that just blows my brain when I start. People talk about the draft like mad. It's still, to me, it's a bit too early. There we go. I knew somebody Cliff's going to go. Defensive end, definitely an edge, definitely wide receiver, center, safety, and depth. Yeah, can't argue with that really. That's pretty much it, isn't it? I think maybe even 2 safeties if Eddie Jackson goes, because we've got Hicks as backup, and there is one other I can never remember his name. But I do think we need that. But yeah, let me quickly go to the chat. So Ravi's here as well. Good to see you. Cliff, talking about players subbed in. How about coaches subbing in for Flus and Kedzie? Yeah, exactly. That's not a bad idea. We can talk about the coaches in a minute. Laz is here too. Too much poor play on this team. Herbert still can't block. Komet can block sometimes. Patrick can't block most of the time. Rooney doesn't want to be out there. I would like to see Fields audible more. Can't argue with that too much, can you? Really? I think I saw someone say there was a rumor. They saw a rumor on Twitter this afternoon or X or whatever that's saying that Getsy is going to be fired. Shock! What a news flash!
I've heard that as well off.
Yeah. So my view
off Rappaport, sorry.
That's it. One of those. I don't really follow, but all I know is I heard it. And if that's the case, then let someone else call some plays because he can still be there. He can still train, do his job, whatever he does in the week, and then just let's give Janoko, the quarterbacks coach, a chance to call plays or somebody call plays because that's what bothers me most about a lot of this. And I think we mentioned in the last show, didn't we, about if they all win out, and that's all I want is to see him improve. But I just feel that it just goes backwards. He doesn't build on what he's done. It just feels so erratic, and I don't think we don't have enough variety at all in our play calling. That's what we'd love to see. Like I say, there's no short passes. There's no slants and shallow crosses across the middle. There's no roll. There's never they don't mix it up. There's never sort of mixed up things from the previous play when they do the same formation. They come out lined up the same and do something completely different, which is what you need to do. We are just too predictable in our play calling. And I think just give someone a shot because it ain't going to be any worse, is it? Just let Janoko or somebody because they're all in the same playbook and let's just see what happens. So Jimmy Max 1976 is in the chat. Thanks for joining us. Did it seem on some of the throws to DJ Moore that there was missed pass interference calls by refs?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I remember one or two. We talked earlier in the start about penalties. Yeah. I don't think we get many calls. I don't want to see. I don't watch. I think if you spoke to any group of NFL fans, they'd probably say, "Oh, my team doesn't get any calls." I don't know, but
they do. Yeah. But
so I don't know. We don't get much luck. I don't think it doesn't feel like we get many. No. Yeah, we got one. Yeah, it doesn't. It feels pretty rare that we go. Oh, that was a pretty generous call from the officials there. Thank you very much. We've got to earn it. We have to get I don't know. God knows what Fields have to do to get a roughing the passer call. I'd hate to see it, to be honest.
Mate.
Yeah, the worst one about that bit, the one that where he got blindsided on that end of the play where he threw the Hail Mary. And it was like two full steps and smash it blind. What worried me about that was that's the kind of play where Tua gets concussed because you see him because he's so unprepared for it, completely blindsided him. He flops back and back his head's on the turf. Yeah, and that really made me fucking mad. To be fair, that just that's almost as mad. And this is for you, Shorty, as that bloody Tunyon drop. Jeez, that's like I missed the start of the game because we had a bit of we got a communal garden out front. We were doing a bit of gardening and we had a little fire pit and a Christmas gathering, so a bit of mulled wine and a mince pie or two. And I was watching it on my phone, and it was a bit like Dan said his wife.
I can imagine you being antisocial.
Yeah, pretty much. And I did say that. I'm not going to lie. I said to him straight up, I'm going to be watching the game, but I was stand up. Yeah. And I did the same. He dropped that, and I shouted, and they were like, "Oh, what's wrong?" I was like, "Fuck! Just what's he done?" But oh my days, it was a catalogue of errors that game, and it's a bit of a miracle. Yeah. Well, it wasn't a miracle. It's the defense. Let's be honest. That was why we were still in it at the end. Yeah. And it's just it brought us back down to earth. The playoffs are possible, but a complete dream. I'm not of the view of that we should start losing out. Just don't. We're not going to tank. We've got the number one pick, probably, maybe the second.
There's no point.
No, exactly. We need to build some winning momentum, and we'll talk about the next game later. But I need to see these guys winning. That's what I want because it builds a feeling, it builds momentum, it builds habits that people get used to winning. When you go out on the field, believing you're going to win,
you're out there believing it.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, sort of my sort of last sort of. My sort of thoughts about the game is it must be. I think this is like one of the hardest games to get over losing because who we were playing a playoff team. We were playing like the best defense in the NFL, and to get a 2-point lead and to blow it, and it's sort of like is it down to the players not executing right, or is it down to the play calling? I mean, like we mentioned at the start of the show, to have a £300 defensive lineman try to cover a tight end who's just been kicking our ass over that quarter, who's been
Yeah.
scoring touchdowns. What's all that about? Where's the personnel? You got to put the best personnel on the pitch for every situation, especially like that time of the game. I mean, I bet when they're in the huddle and then the guy got the call for the defense, I bet just thought, you want me to do what? You
Yeah.
want me to cover this guy what's like absolutely mauling us, right? And I'm a defensive tackle. Come on, dude. So
Yeah.
like that stuff like that really sort of bothers me about Eberflus, because there's been a few times where it's not had the like best personnel in, and that to me is like you want your best personnel in. It's like when we first got Sweat and played in so many
Mm.
players in the game, when really should have been in more, especially near the end. Um, but it would just down to the trouble we've got is that we've got a defense now which is solidifying. We're one of the top defenses in the country in the NFL, but our offense is so far behind. On
Yeah.
the defense is up there and the offense is down there, like a power graph, and that's the Bears' biggest problem, and it has been for years and years. And I know last year we were sort of going, well, maybe we got through the hard times and maybe like this is like the learned from the mistakes and maybe this is why we had a 2 game run. I mean, just
I
saying
know.
it. Oh, in a 2 game run is fuck all. It's
I know.
absolutely nothing. It's
And we
ridiculous.
were all like, yes,
How
yes,
desperate
we're
are
on
we
the
as
way.
fans? I
This is it.
know.
Oh, here we
Yeah,
come.
like,
We're on
and
through
then
the road.
and then we started talking about playoffs as well.
I know.
And it was just sort of like, God, we're so desperate for fans, for success as fans. But it's just, it's this is like the big questions of the off season is Getsy, Justin Fields, what's going to actually happen there, and I don't know. I keep swinging about Fields. I keep thinking this is my sort of well, we'll move on now to like about talk about the Bears gossip and about the future prospects. Um, but like I see it two ways really. I think the first way is like Eberflus is going to keep his job. They'll get rid of Getsy, and then they'll keep Fields and build around him and trade down the drafts. Or the second one is like they just go right. That's it. Everybody out. We're gonna get a new coach, and also as well we're gonna pick the top quarterback in the draft. So that's basically the two ways the Bears are to go. And for the life of me, I keep going. I don't know which direction I'd pick. Like my brain keeps going. Keep the plus. Like we were about last week about having a bit of continuity and stuff like that. But then there's a bit of me going. But what about with these quarterbacks? Is a generational quarterback, and we kept Justin Fields, and he just doesn't improve. Maybe this is his ledge. Maybe this is the best he can do, or maybe it's just sometimes when you have them situations where it's just not going to work in like you have place. But sometimes it's time to move on and have a fresh start and a change of scenery. Maybe Fields might blossom somewhere else. I don't know, but it's the offense, isn't it? It's just the offense, mate, and it's just how 1 week they look like world beaters, and then like when I saw me to Minnesota when we lost there at
Mm.
Soldier Field, the play from Fields was so bad that I was thinking I've seen better quarterbacks in the British League in the 1980s play better than him, and we're talking 30, 35 years ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I have done. I was serious because it were absolutely terrible, and it's just the how long do we wait? How many how long does the club wait? And I mean, I'll think well, I could probably do another year of Fields and Eberflus, but not get sick. But I could completely understand that. I can completely understand them going right. It's like because the thing is as well is people go, well, it can set the club back 5 years, but what we're setting ourselves back from? Well, it's not like we've been, it's not like we've been a mega successful club in the last 2 or 3 years. So what we're losing, if we do sort of, clear the room and start again. But what are your thoughts on that situation, Jason?
That's right. I'm just replying to something in the chat there. My thoughts are, mate, that every time I listened, I watch all these. I watch the podcast and the shows, and I listen to the commentators and I read the articles, and I waver from one way to the next. And this is the problem. This is why we're all fighting each other. The Bears fans are shouting at each other, going, "No, Fields is a bust. Get rid of him." And the one thing that I do have to say is that I'm getting annoyed with this generational talent word. It seems like there's a generational talent every fucking year.
I am.
Seriously, it's like, and this is all part of the media hype, and it's the hype train starts now. It blows my mind, all this chat on the draft, because largely because like you, I don't see a lot of college football. I can get some of it, and I'm starting to get an impression of who some of the players, and it's basically Swifty videos that inform me about who we want in the draft. Bless him and his work; it's amazing. But I think I've been trying to go through this in my head about what should we do, and you're right. The continuity, you can't. Fields has already had. Hey, Swifty is in the house. Excellent. Kitty Cat, welcome. Here for Shorty. The chef to treat. That's right. There, she's mentioned that. Sorry, I've just completely swiped it there. Came in right when he's shouting me out. Lol. Yeah, good timing, Swift. Where are we? There, Jason came in here as well. Laz was there talking about he couldn't understand the wanker on the right. Excellent. Yeah, I can barely understand him either, and I'm English too. Bears Media Co are in saying bear down. Kitty Cat is here. Bears, again, crazy that you've had trouble in Vikes and Browns game about that blitz. Yeah, Bears Media Co. That's a really good comment. Trouble in the Vikes and Browns games when they both blitz. Where's it gone? At high rates, and the Bears don't max protection. I think that's down to the play calling. But yeah, anyway, back to the Fields thing and the off season. And this is the thing. It's such a massive off season. We've had the number one pick last year, and we got the number one pick again this year. It doesn't happen so often. So, and this just depends on how you feel like you want to build your team. Whether you get the quarterback first and then build around him, or you get the team set and then you get your guy at number one quarterback. So I keep thinking it just didn't. It's different for each person, is it? We want to do it our own way, and we all got an opinion, and none of us are right or wrong. None of us knows what's going on in Poles' head. And to go back to like you say, the defense is playing out of its skin, and the offense is struggling. So I know, and Poles will know that. It's like when he came in with his first draft, everyone was talking about we haven't got any wide receivers, haven't got this or that. And he came in and got Brisker and Gordon for his first two picks because he knew he'd looked at the fact that the defense, we had like the largest gap between for the opposition touchdowns. We had the biggest gap in the NFL between our nearest cornerback or safety. So he fixed that problem straight away. And now our defensive back core is elite, isn't it? It's great. I mean, Eddie Jackson will be replaced, I'm sure, at some point very soon. But look at Gordon and Brisker; they're like center of our defense, and the defense is so far ahead of where we thought we'd be, and I think that's again is what people are looking at. They sort of raised expectations a bit. If we'd have been sort of average again, but because the defense is playing so well, I think that I know I'm wandering on a bit here, but that's what's kind of raised the hopes, and I think that's also highlighting why the offense is so bad, especially after this game. So, and I think he'll be on it. I think he'll go offense-centric on this draft. And go back to your point about Fields, again, swing left and right all the way for, and listen to people. And because everyone's kind of view makes sense. You think, yeah, just tear it all down, start again. But I think we're building such a young team and you can't start from scratch. Fields has had 3 different offenses to learn, is it now, or 2 at least, to give him another one. So I get that, but I'm kind of leaning now more towards keeping Fields, getting coaching staff in. You've got 1 year because he's still on his deal. And then we sell. Someone mentioned it in the chat earlier just now that we sell that number 1 pick if we get it for a haul and just put quality talent all the way through the team. And then Fields is at the end of his rookie deal if we haven't taken on his 5th year option, and we can go and get that quarterback that we think might be. So that's kind of where I'm leaning at the minute because you need the talent. And that's what I said to go back to the last game. The thing that showed up for me is when Tevin went out, we hadn't. The quality of the O-line play went down. When Moore is hobbled because DJ was struggling, we haven't got anything else to back him up at wide receiver. Komet is a total. He's a baller, isn't he? I love Komet. I know some people don't think he's elite, but look at his trajectory of his career. He's right up there with Kelsey.
He's up there now.
And these players, he is on the trajectory for a great career. So I think stack that team with talent that we can then have a backup if any of our our stars go down, and then give Fields another year with a coach that is going to employ him. This is what's key: is you've got to find the team that will. Yeah, this May, isn't it? Yeah, May for the fifth year option, which again might be early, but maybe you just have him hanging around on his fifth year. You could draft in someone, couldn't you, when he's on his fifth year, and perhaps ship him out before the deadline if it's clear that the other guy's going to play. So I know Poles likes flexibility. So I think at the moment that's how I kind of sit: is we keep Fields, we change the coaching staff, we fill that roster with talent with that number one pick, and then we've got another year of Fields to see if we can. Agree with Jimmy Mack there. Look, getting rid of Fields would be a huge mistake. Why is Donta Foreman not used more and praised more for his crazy runs? He's a hard runner, isn't he? But again, I don't know how did he have an ankle or was he fit? I can't remember. But anyway, he wasn't working. He didn't have good. Between Herbert and Foreman, sorry, mate, just go on that. Is they had 12 carries for 2 yards in that game. But Johnson had a couple 5 for 36. He was doing all right. And Fields, obviously, as usual, led the rushing with 30 yards. So yeah, that wasn't great. So anyway, I've said enough on that bit, but that's my view at the moment. And it'll probably change next week when I hear someone else put up a really good case for shipping them out and drafting Caleb and all this other stuff. But to me, at the moment, we've got such good capital with that draft, and Poles is smart. I really like what he does. I think he will get an absolute haul for that number one pick, and then we'll build the roster, because again, that game showed this weekend that we haven't got depth. So back over to you, mate.
No, I mean, I very much sort of agree with what you said, Jason. Really, regarding Fields, it's just that, I would pass it over. I mean, I'm not really. I like you. I'm not like a big believer in this like generational talent, vibe at the bottom players. Because so many players that come through the draft never make it anywhere, and they have such great careers in college. There's still the element, there's still that gamble element, because you're talking about a human being. So it's not like we're playing on a computer game, whatever, and that's why, sometimes I know the draft is a massive important part of building a team, but sometimes I think people rely on it a little bit too much, because nobody's as certain until they've actually got to the NFL. But like, I'm sort of definitely sort of like leaning to your side of the argument. Really, I just think with the improvement of the defense, if we can just get, I'm quite prepared to Fields, like I said before, another season, and if we can, like you say, surround him with more talent on the wide receivers, improve the offensive line, especially like the center position, then I'm quite happy to do that. But I think we've got to start thinking about, it might not work out with Fields. It's just not working out. When you look at the statistics, all the losses, and I know, like, he has his personal statistics look really good compared to like the quarterbacks that he got drafted in at the same time. But it's also the statistics about how many turnovers he's had in the fourth quarter, and the limited sort of amount of successes and the comebacks, and I want it to work for Fields, because I just want the best. I don't care who it is, if it's Fields or whoever. I just want the best quarterback we can get hold of for Chicago Bears. So I'm not loyal to like so much as to the individual. It's more the position and the team. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, it's a team sport. I know the QB is such a vital, central, important part of the game. But without the other people playing well, it doesn't matter how good you are. So it's just sort of, I'm like you, man. It's like one day I'll think, let's just like kick the door down and sort of put a bit on the first round, pick it up. He's going to be our quarterback for the future. But and then there's a bit of me going, yeah, but did we expect this new regime to have everything sorted out within 2 seasons? No, we didn't. I remember saying on the Barfly Tailgate show that it's going to be 2-3 years, surely. We've got to give these guys, which we are doing. I just think it's just been the sort of, the amount of losing and the ways we've been losing as well, especially this year, losing like we have done, them 3 games, having double-digit leads on teams.
Yeah.
So, for me, I just can't see how they can justify bringing Getsy back. And surely, if they bring another offensive coordinator in, then surely they can incorporate what they've done before into their new offense. Or they might just have an offense that just clicks with Fields' talents. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think it's just going to be such an intriguing off season for the Chicago Bears, and
Crazy.
and these are like big time decisions. It's this is like these stars that all align very often, if you know what I mean, when it comes to like the draft picks and where we are personnel wise for the team. So yeah, I'm definitely sort of leaning to that side, but I can understand people going, look at all the losses and look at this and that, and end of the day, it's a professional sport, so that's what you're there for, is to win a game, and that's what we want the Bears to do, is be winners again. So
Yeah.
it's just going to be so intriguing, but at this moment in time, obviously, things could, change quite a lot through his next few games, depending on how the team performs and how the coach staff performs, and the attitude what they're going. So there's still plenty of time. I can't believe how quickly the season goes. It's ridiculous.
Does it flies
But like
by?
there's
Yeah.
still 3 games left. Oh, it's ridiculous, isn't it, mate? And
Yeah.
so yeah, it's just going to be interesting to see sort of what we'll have to do is we'll have to do a show when the season finishes and sort of do like a season recap. That'd be really interesting to see sort of how far we have gone, because especially after them terrible 4 games at the start of the season. It'd be
Yeah.
interesting to sort of review the season and see what what the positives are. But I just think gets I just don't see him. I just like to see Justin Field with somebody else just to see if that makes a difference.
Yeah.
If it has been all get sick. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a bit like Belichick. Since Tom Brady left New England, his records have like gone down the Swanee. So
Yeah.
it always makes you think, who had the most pivotal part of that relationship, and who made the biggest impacts in that on that franchise. But yeah, it's just going to be really really interesting, man. And it just yeah, it just be. I think after like the last game, I mean, I don't know. I mean, they must have a good idea what they're going to do with Fields, surely by now, and maybe I just got a feeling he's going to be back next year, and if he is, I'll get my full support.
Yeah.
But I just feel like we just need another offensive coordinator, because it's sort of like when you watch like pundits, like like people like Kurt Warner going, I don't actually understand what that play is. I've never seen that play before. When you have like a load of receivers all clustered together,
Yeah.
and then you got people like in the whole thing going, I just don't understand the logic of that. I've never seen that play before, and I don't understand what the logic is. So I think Eberflus could still be here next year, but I can't see how they can get to back. But then again, if they bring a new quarterback in, draft one, then they might just go right. We'll start with a head coach and get them married up. But yeah, it's going to be interesting, man. And so anyway, the next game is against the Arizona Cardinals, which
Yep.
is probably a
Sorry,
team
mate.
I'll finish today. I
Can
was
I just
sorry.
can I
On,
just go
mate.
back to the
Yeah,
point?
gosh,
There's a really good point here made by Laz actually. He's put his comment there. Yeah, Field's future on this team is definitely not a can't miss sure thing. That's why you go in a different direction. He doesn't see the field, no pun intended, well enough. DJ was wide open for a touchdown on that 4th down, and that's a really good point. And that's a weakness in his game, is he misses open receivers sometimes. And I agree. And I think we talked about this before, haven't we? He's not the finished article. He's 24 years old, so I kind of get it. And that's a valid criticism, like especially the fumbles. He's got to protect the ball better. I think he's protecting himself better these days when he's sliding or avoiding the hits. Like there was one in particular in this last game where he was designed run. He went around the outside and there was nowhere for him to go, and he just hit the floor. So he kind of is learning, and which is better for his health and the well-being of our team because we don't want him out all the time. But it's a really good point about Laz makes. But I think this is my counter to that would be that he has talents that other players don't. So, and that's I get it. It's totally. I agree with Laz's view on him. He does miss too many open receivers, but he's got other things that kind of make up for that. And I think I was saving up a quote for Shorty, and I hope he's still listening in the car. Probably is. He's been driving. Is that this? And sometimes I get this is where you get lost in all that sort of draft buzz and the noise and the media and stuff is. Because one of the things to go back to the point about the draft, and they talk about Caleb Williams and the generational talent. Every time someone says that we move on from Fields and get Williams or May or whoever, they go, if he lives up to this. If and that's the big word I'm hearing all the time is if, and like you said earlier, there's no sure hits, because last year people talked about Stroud and the one the Panthers took, the other one, can't even remember his name.
Yeah, I know you mean.
But the two of them, so they were talking about those two, and a lot of the draft boards and a lot of the analysts and the experts were saying it was really difficult to separate them. And look how different their season's going. So nobody knows what they're going to do, because it depends on the scheme you get in. A lot of luck, injuries, whatever. So Steve's here from Newbury 313 Sports. Good to see you, Steve. Go to the Lions for you, that one. He's a good guy. I'm kind of rooting for the Lions. Out to him and Dion. If anyone's going to win it, let's get the NFC North representation. It's the Central then. Whoa, going back. NFC North representation in the playoffs. Exactly. 50's saying there. In polls we trust, Shorty. Drafting a QB number 1 is still a big risk, and that's why I say with this pick, we give Fields another year, and we can then build that team, because we need to play more players to build the squad up. But I'm not going to repeat myself. But what I wanted to do was get onto this quote that I was saving up for Shorty that I mentioned I was going to use on the show. And I've heard it before in other areas, and it's that perfection is the enemy of good. So you can spend far too much time trying to get something perfect when what you've got is adequately good. Or not adequately, it's a terrible way to say it, but what you've got is very good. So don't strive for perfection if the rest of the things around it are not going to make it work. Because you can have, it's like the Moneyball thing again, isn't it? You can have a massive superstar, but there's 11 players on the field at every time. So they might be injured, they might be out of the play for whatever reason. They're not going to get it every time. So you need a squad of players. If you've got players that are all good, then it doesn't matter. You haven't got one player that's perfect. So that was my quote: was perfection is the enemy of good. So we don't want to go chasing our tails, trying to get this perfect thing right. But if you can turn that number 1 pick into another 5, and potentially, like they were talking about it on, was it a Sunday show on BCP, or was it last night maybe? We could have 2 first-round picks for maybe the next 3 years if we draft. If Poles does some clever dealing in this draft, we could have 2 first-round picks for the next 3 years potentially, this year and the next 2. So I'm of the view that we just build through the draft, get some players, and because then you could, if you've got the talent in the team, they're all on rookie contracts. You could then trade away a few picks for the next few years to get your guy that you think is the best quarterback available. Or you can bet, you can get someone else in. And as we've seen with the 49ers, you build a team full of quality talent. The quarterback doesn't have to be Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson. You don't need that. If you've got a good quarterback and not a perfect quarterback, then you can win with a good team around him. So here endeth the lesson.
You know what? That was so well said, Jason. And you know what the best word what you said, and it was the most English phrase I've heard a long time, is the word adequate. That is such an English sort of phrase, isn't it? That with such an English. Yes, that's adequate.
So
I completely. Sorry, mate.
Just to go back to the draft thing again, is that the thing that worries me about getting rid of Fields, and it'd be like it's like when you have a girlfriend and it doesn't really work out. And then, these things are shit. You want to try and, get her fixed and do this, and you can try and make her a better person or whatever. And then you split up, and then you do all the hard work making her life better, and then someone else gets the benefit because you see her with her next boyfriend, and you're like, oh, she's doing all right. That's what I fear the most in this, is that we haven't used him to his maximum potential. We've done him a disservice by putting him into this field with who initially. And then onto this team, and then with he's not with Getsy as well. Can we just have 1 year, please? If we get Getsy's going, which we believe it might be, can we get a guy in that is going to just rip it with him? Just play him to his strengths, mix it up, get him on the move, show some different looks. That he's got an option that you can, the rollouts or the naked boots, and then the play action passes. To get him under center a bit more. Just give us something different. Let's really see what he can do. Spread the field out, like Foster said before, about they're bunching 3 tight wide receivers next to the tight end. It's like you're closing that field up so much. Just mix up the playbook. This is why I'm saying for the next 3 games, maybe we should just give someone else a shot at calling the plays, because they can't be any worse. We need to give it variety. Let's see more of what Fields can do, and then potentially we can just get either the best out of him or maybe we move on. But I would be really pissed off if we just give up on him too early when he hasn't had a chance to show what he can do with us. And again, finally, one more point is that I was reading an article on ESPN. I know, I don't know. Once you get me started, I can't shut up. But it's just
it's like revving up a car. Once you get going, mate, you're full on, man. I'm loving
Once I get going, exactly, until I run out of steam. But I read the article on ESPN about like they talked about the 10 teams in the hot seat the most, with the potentially change of coaches, and which one's in the best position. And we know it's our team, isn't it? It's got a young team that's got a lot of talent in it with some holes, but it's got a lot of talent. The draft picks we've got, and the cap space. Which coach? It's like Shorty's goes on about it all the time, and I kind of agree. If someone like Harbaugh he'd be licking his lips at with what he did with Kaepernick, he'll be absolutely salivating at the thought of coming here with Fields, with this cap space, with this talent, to come here and see what he can do. So, and I think a lot of coaches would. I think we're in a great situation, and we shouldn't fuck it up by doing things too early. Listening to impatient voices that want success now, when we've torn the team down to its absolute bare bones and started building talent. I mean, it's going in the right direction. Let's not give up too early. Again, I'm not saying that Fields is the man we should never do if we really can't. But I got to say, we've got to look at ourselves in the mirror and say, have we actually done everything we can for him to succeed at this team? And I genuinely don't think we have at the moment. And that's what would worry me, is you put him in a scheme where they absolutely get him, to use his legs, to run it, to do his rollouts, that fits him perfectly. And he just takes off. And best of luck to him. But it would just piss me off that it wouldn't be with the Bears, because I want us to win, So that's enough from me right now.
Yeah, I mean, what I'd like as well is I'd like a coordinator who's actually done it before. When the new regime come in, everybody was brand new at the jobs. Brand new head coach, brand new defensive guy. Really, I want somebody who's been there and done it. Even if they might have been a head coach before, a lot of head coaches will go down to being a coordinator to still understand the game. And I just want somebody who just uses the best players for the players he's got on their talents. Do you know what I mean? Not try to fit players into your scheme, because it very often doesn't work because players are not just, it's not their natural game, or they're never playing that sort of scheme, and you know what I mean. And that's the one thing about Getz is like he never plays like his players' scheme. Sometimes he has the wrong personnel in. Like in the last game, we had like Herbert blocking, and Herbert's not all really great at blocking running back, and we really needed somebody to step up in that play. Inconsistency.
Yeah.
I just think really. Yeah, I think it's time for Getz to go. It won't happen until the end of the season, because that's just the Chicago Bears way. They don't typify coaches through the season, which at the start of the season when we were 4-0 down, and especially because I was going to America as well this season, I kept thinking, if we keep losing, so let's say like by the time I got to Chicago, it was the middle of October, to say the slap one by then I paid money to go there, and then what am I watching the team what's tanking already? Who they're not playing the best players. Like I remember last season, I think it might have been I think we played the Vikings, or it might have been Detroit, and it was the last home game of the season, and Alder and Dan Aguirre went to the game, and I think literally within 10 minutes of the game, the Bears took off the quarterback, whoever were playing, I think it was Peterman, and they brought in this guy who'd been on the street for they'd already been on the team for 3 days. And I just thought, how disrespectful is that to the fans, that you paid your money, you expect to see at least some sort of competitive game, and they bring on a dude who has not played for you. So I don't think that's going to happen in the last 3 games at all. He doesn't seem to have lost the locker room, but it's just, you just think, and us as well, are we, because of the results we've had over the last couple of years, does that mean is our expectations level are we just happy accepting mediocrity? Because we had these 2 game winning 2-game winning streak, and then we're acting like we're going to like Super Bowl 20 or something. You know what I mean? And that
Yeah.
so like maybe like we need to get coaching what are going to rise our expectations because of what we've done before, and you know if he first comes back next year, even if change gets us, it'd be like a bit of going. Well, maybe we're missing a chance here. You know what I mean? With the draft picks and the cap space we've got. Now we're missing a chance of not bringing in another coach. So it's going to be so interesting, man. But there's so many angles to the story, isn't there? There's so many sort of, I like to hear everybody's viewpoint really, like, if it's similar to mine or not, because just like, it's like times I'm flitting between, completely, blowing the house up or continuing what we do because they have won more games than they have last season. So, they can't actually go, well, we have physically won more games, but it's just the all the weird things that have been going on, the penalties, and I think really it's just the offense. And it's just the old Chicago Bear thing that we have a fantastic defense and we have an offense which is, not up to the same level.
Just
We've not
trying
had
to
that
keep
for
up.
like 30,
Yeah.
40 years. Yeah, so I think
Yeah.
like you mentioned before, Jason, I think really he's got to concentrate on the offense a lot in the draft. But like it's all these next 3 games and to see how people because basically just really scouting how the players are going to be playing, all right, you really because we're not going to get to the playoffs. So it's basically scouting players' performance and starting to
Yeah.
think about next season already. So quickly going back to the Arizona Cardinals, I know nothing about them really. I know they're 3-11, so I know they're worse than us, and I know Kyler Murray doesn't seem to be working out there. And I know like they changed their coach last season. So apart from that, I'm just hoping you've got some stats, mate.
Oh, you know me. I'll get in the books and have a little look. I'll tell you what I was surprised with was this weekend's game was they played the 49ers, didn't they? And for a while they were going toe to toe with them. So we're talking about winning our next 3 games. We're the Bears. Let's remember that. They ran for 234 yards against the 49ers. They 234 yards rushing against the 49ers, which, ours is the number 1 rush defense. The 49ers are 3rd.
But they're up there.
So, yeah, exactly. Now, whether that balance will change now that they've got Kyler Murray back, because he was out with an injury, wasn't he, start of the season? Because they had Josh Dobbs is still their leading passer for yardage. Yeah, exactly. Foster with the Arizona game first. So that's all he do. And that's all we want now is just enjoy each game. Because like you say, the season's so short. Let's just try and enjoy the games, guys. Well, it's hard to say as a Bears fan, but at least let's not throw ourselves out the flipping window yet, But it's they ran for 234 yards because with James O'Connor, who was at the Steelers, wasn't he? And he's a battering ram of a running back.
Yeah, good player.
Yeah,
good
so I'm wondering if they're going to throw more passes now that Murray's back. They may not rely on the game, but if they know the running game works, then maybe they will, I think for the weakness is that, the 2 threats. The main threats are McBride, their tight end, is the leading pass catcher, and O'Connor, obviously 717 yards, but he's averaging 5 yards a carry throughout the season. So we'd have to watch out. Yeah, exactly. He's balling out this year. Is James O'Connor, so got to watch out for him. So their run offense is about two yards different to ours, and we think we can run the ball. So they obviously can run the ball too. So again, we've got to be ready for that. I trust our defense to do that. So let's see how that one goes. The redeeming factor that, again, possibly a chink for us to exploit, a chink in the armor, is that their run defense is the 2nd worst in the NFL. So again, fingers crossed. Yeah, they got a terrible run D. So maybe that will help us. Who knows? Who fucking knows, mate? Who knows what we'll see? But that's where hopefully they're going to do it. Murray's back. I don't know what state he's in because I think he's had some injury, hasn't he? But he's back now for the last few games and averaging I think 200 and something yards a game in the air. There's a bit more mobile. No, because Dobbs was. That's not fair. Dobbs was pretty mobile, wasn't he? He was. He
run pretty mobile as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So it could be an interesting matchup. I think again down to the ground game. Let's hope ours is better than last fucking weekend. Holy smoke! Which I say 12 attempts, 12 rushes, 12 carries for Herbert and Foreman for a total of 2 yards. That's piss poor. Oh my god. that's what I'm looking forward to. Really, let's just see how they go. It's at home, isn't it? It's at Soldier Field, so
it is. Yeah, it's at Soldier Field.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, great. Get to go in front of our own fans in the cold weather and see what happens. Get them out of their desert and their air-conditioned greenhouse, and to see how they get on in the cold into the windy city. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm in every game, mate. I can't wait. It's going to be it's Christmas time.
Yeah, I'm
going to be just watching the Bears, drinking some mulled wine, seeing what Santa's brought me, and just go from there. Just one game at a time. So yeah, let's just keep the defense rolling because they're just balling out, aren't they? They're showing out the D, and I'm loving that because I'm a Bears fan. Like you say, we love defense. And to go back to who was it who said it in the chat earlier? Someone mentioned about you just want people that are going to start smashing people up, didn't they? Where is it? Who said that? Which is true. Someone said that. They should have Bears. Hey, Mayhem's in. Good to see you, Mr. Mayhem. You're damn right. They should have beaten the Browns and the flipping Lions and the Broncos. And to go back to, I think it was Cliff that said that the Flus the only Bears coach ever to have lost 3 games with a 10-point lead.
That's right.
I know that's an NFL record, isn't it?
Yeah.
Kitty Cat, have I ever been to the States? Yes, I have. Only with work though. So I've been to Vegas twice and Yuma in Arizona once. Yeah. So that's for another story. That's for another podcast. I'm related to the Bears. That was a lot of fun.
Was that your Air Force days?
Yes, it was. Yes, thank you very much. I wasn't going to mention that. But yeah. Went to Nellis. That's all right. No worry. You know me. Don't like to put too much out there. Heidi's in.
When he says stuff like Jason, I keep thinking, well, what if Jason was sort of like in the Secret Service or something that we can't let his full identity be released because
this isn't my real face.
Talk about it, man.
Heidi says hi to you.
When he come off the... Hello, Heidi. Hope you're doing well, girl. And I hope you're getting over the terrible situation you're in, man.
Swifty's out of here as well.
Sorry. I know,
go on, mate.
Sorry, mate. I know, you had the terrible hurricane in Acapulco, and I think where you went, I think Heidi said she went to Mexico City. And I think they had like a quite a severe earthquake. So I hope you're doing really well, Heidi. And my thoughts are always with you, and it was cool to meet you when I was in the States the other month. So. Great to see that you've come into the show. I hope you enjoyed it, and obviously you're able to understand what Jason says because he speaks better English than I do. So if you don't pick up my accent, then you're able to understand what Jason says. So it's been, it's great to see you. But I've just a quick one about the Arizona game. Really. I mean, I've got a feeling that the Bears are going to win, and I've got a feeling that this might be like a little bit of a thumper. I think we might win by maybe 2 scores, and then that'll make the next sort of week going, oh, well, are the Bears sort of like, they're getting back on the streak again, woo, like that 1 winning streak. So, I just think a lot of players have got the jobs on the line, and all the coaches have as well. So I just hope everybody's plays up to what they can do, and this is a team really what we should be being. We've got a better record than them. It's up in Chicago. It's going to be cold. Do they really want to be there on Christmas Eve, freezing the bollocks off on the side of the field? So I think the Bears will win, man, and I think it's a lot down to how well Justin Fields plays again. Like you said, Jason, if the defense can keep up what they're doing, becoming like a top 5 defense, and just see like the offense being more consistent, and this is a game we should win, and I want them to win every game they ever play the Bears. I've never been much into tanking and throwing a season away because it's such a short season, and you never know when you're never going to see another season again, man. So I always want to see the Bears win. So yeah, I'm giving the Bears a win. I'm going to give them by 2 touchdowns. So what we'll do is we'll wrap up the show, man. So if there's anything you want to shout out, Jason, or any last views or anything like that?
I just, again, you know me, I go through all. I start trawling the internet for a bit of knowledge, because I haven't got any in my head generally. But I just found a little side note. A little side note when you can look at the stats, right? And I remember I read a really good book about investing actually on the stock market. And when you've got things that are complex, right, you get all these information, and we get loads of this, don't we? It's like stats coming out your ass everywhere. And the thing is, you can attach yourself to one set of stats and think that is the truth. And I just think that this quote that stuck with me from this book was that things you can get information and treat it as illuminating but not true. So it gives you a bit more info about this, what is going on, but it doesn't mean that that's it. That isn't the only thing to use to make your view of how it's going.
That's not the whole picture.
Exactly. So it adds information, but you've got to put it into everything. Are the Bears going to look into? Sorry, some questions. We get into some of the chat actually briefly, if you want, for a few minutes.
Yeah.
I know people have been saying goodbye.
Mate, no problem.
Yeah. So Bears, I think Bears Media Co is out of here. Swifty's gone. So good for dropping in. Thanks, Swifty. See you soon. Bears Media Co. Until next time. Again, see you later. Laz made a good point that 38-year-old Flacco got more yards in the fourth quarter alone than Fields did all game, which is true. That defense just really gone, wouldn't we? So yeah, he makes the point that, as we said, the offense let us down in that game for sure. So, but that fourth quarter was harrowing, wasn't it? It's like 230 yards of offense after holding them so well. And that's what's frustrating, is the fact that we see them performing these flashes, and then it just falls apart. And I think that is a lot of it's down to the coaching. So we won't talk about that, but I think we've kicked the arse out of that. But that's what I think is that needs to be improved on for sure, is finishing a game from the coach's point of view. But this one was unusual, this game, I thought, in the fact that there was loads of different things that went wrong at different times. Fields didn't have a great game. There was missed blocks. There was drop catches, penalties that didn't go away. So there was loads of little things. That shows the defense didn't do their job at the end. Yeah, for sure, Foster. At the end, yeah. If they'd have performed the same way throughout that whole time, there was a blown coverage, wasn't there? It was Tyreek Stevenson, I think. He was a rookie. He's going to make mistakes. He was the one that let Njoku slip for that big gain. Missed tackle by Brisker for Cooper, wasn't it, down the sideline? So it's there's a few things like that. But someone said about, who was it? Where are you, Jimmy Mack? That's 1976. Are the Bears going to possibly look for a better punt kick returners? We need some, don't we? I mean, that's why they brought Taylor in, and then he's involved in a few games on offense as a receiver, but he was brought in as the kick return specialist.
Yeah.
And that muff, oh my God, that was horrific, wasn't it? When we didn't need that when he just coughed it up on that return. He's just got to catch the ball. That's your one big job. My husband will never get a
all you got to do.
Yeah, I bet not. Yeah, I bet he won't, kitty cat. It was bad. I was doing the same. I was trying to explain to my girlfriend. We come in from the neighbour's bash outside around the fire pit with mulled wine. I was now doing my usual of sort of leaping around the living room, but I'm pacing up and down and jumping and screaming. And I was trying to explain to her how horrifically bad that was, that we just given them the ball in our red zone. And you don't understand. And then I was again screaming, but with delight, when Pete Stevenson picks it off. It's like, man. But yeah, those sort of things can have can turn a game for you, can't they? When in a tight game, especially. When those little things matter. Foster, don't mention that Tunyon catch, man. Or not catch. Yeah, exactly. Don't mention that. We're going to have nightmares about that. Defense ran out of gas. They did. Anyway,
and the sad thing about Tunyon is the sad thing about Tunyon is that he was supposed to be like a pass catching tight end as well.
Exactly.
Played with Aaron Rodgers, and it'd been like really sort of one of his favourite targets. And as soon as he dropped that, I went, it's not going to happen today, man. And it just sort of sucked the whole sort of air out of the team. All the confidence just sort of went away, and it was a shocker, man. But like I said, I think we're going to turn it around against the Cardinals, man. I really do. And it's always awesome to have NFL over Christmas as well, because it always gives me a good excuse to get away from the family for a bit.
Yes.
It's like sneaking to another room for a couple hours. But anyway, I hope everybody has a good Christmas. I forgot we're at Christmas time. So I hope everybody has a good Christmas and a safe one. And let's hope that Santa Claus brings the Bears a victory. because it would be nice to, like, finish the season on a positive, especially with all these big decisions, what's going to be happening over the next, 3 to 4 months. But yeah, so what we're going to do, Foster, is we're going to end the show, mate, on a bear down. And I'm so appreciative of everybody in the chat. You made the show tick over. Thank you, Foster, for producing the show. Without you, we couldn't do it, basically. And yeah, just a shout to anybody who's sort of from Britain or Europe who gets to see this show, then please contact us, because we'd love to have some guests on from Britain and around Europe as well. And just spreading the Bears word, and it'd be so cool to meet people from different countries and how they interpret the Bears and their feeling on the situation. So yeah, so we'll finish this after 3 on a bear down. 1, 2, 3, bear down.
Bear down.